Well, where do I even begin? Well, I do know. It is, in fact, Hump Day, Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. I have zero volume in my headphones. There we go. Much, much better. If you want to get a hold of me, you can over at 208-535-1015. What an eventful night last night. All right, so I'm sitting there. Well, okay, here's the thing. I get off work. I go to my beard appointment. I get my beard all nice and trimmed, make myself look better. Couldn't get any worse, but yeah, tried making myself look better. Shout out to Kahoy. Styling it, profiling it, everything, I go to my beard appointment. I then go back to my place. I then DoorDash food because I didn't really want to go anywhere else. I was petrified of the weather, so I instead made the dumb decision to pay extra money to have someone else deliver my food to me, have them, put themselves at risk, slipping in the snow. Hopefully you stayed safe last night as well. But so I made my way back to my apartment. I was sitting there playing some Uno with the homies via, Discord and all of that. And we're just hanging out, having a good time. I then stopped playing Uno, switched over to Postal 2, started playing that dumb game about where you just kill people for no reason whatsoever. That's why it's called Postal 2. And then all of a sudden my phone goes off. I get a notification from Reddit. Usually whenever I get a notification from Reddit, it's some dumb thing about like, oh, hey, somebody posted here. You should check it out, blah, blah, blah. I looked down at my phone, just glanced down at my phone and saw it said permanently banned. So that immediately made me go, what? And I go look at my phone and it said I have been banned from the subreddit r/Seether. Seether, the band that had a lot of hits back in the early 2000s. It was their subreddit that I got permanently banned from. So here's the thing. This is like my third time explaining this today. I'm tired of explaining it. I got to explain it one more time when I post a video all about this because it's just such a funny situation. Where 6 months ago, was it 6 months ago, back in May? Yeah, back in May, whenever Seether was here in Idaho Falls, I asked that subreddit prior to that show because I was interviewing Dale Stewart of Seether, their guitarist, right? So I decided, as a nice gesture, to be like, hey, you know what? Let me go to r/Seether and ask any Seether fanatics in there, what are some questions that you guys might have that I could potentially ask Dale from Seether? So they instead of giving me like these actual pretty good questions, they give me the usual questions of like, why haven't you guys released this? Why haven't you guys done this? All this like very it was like very questions that were basically me interrogating Dale, like asking him, why haven't you done this in a while? What happened to this? Blah, 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 that type of thing. So I didn't ask any single one of their questions because I knew for a fact the interview would not go well if I asked one of their questions. I get 10 minutes with Dale prior to the show. We go to this like little mini locker room inside the Mountain America Center. We're at a round table. Wasn't even set up for us. It was just there. We just sat down and had the conversation there. I'm only allowed 10 minutes with Dale. I'm not going to start all of a sudden go, why haven't you guys released the deluxe edition of the latest album yet? What's going on with you? So I do my interview. Goes normal. Dale leaves. I felt like he had a great time. I then upload the interview and then share it in r/Seether. That was my big mistake. You want to know why? Because not every single person, like 5 loudmouths in there. One of them was the moderator, I found out. And like 4 other people were just so irate that I didn't ask their very negative questions that they just started throwing a fit. They gave my interview a bunch of dislikes. They started leaving comments in the comment section, that type of thing. And so then it wasn't until recently, like a few days ago, fast forward to now, Victor is now uploading all of our podcasts to our YouTube channel. So the episode from, I believe, May 23rd of Peach's Pit Party on demand The title of that podcast was Seether Fans Need a Hug, and it was me talking about the whole situation. Well, the moderator of r/Seether just heard that last night, apparently, and got so mad at me that he decided to leave like a 4-paragraph essay in the comment section trying to justify his end of the whole thing. And then he proceeded to call me a garbage interviewer and that I shouldn't have a job in radio, something like that. And he was just very, very, very mean. And then proceeded to then, after that, permanently ban me from Seether's subreddit. Again, this is not a guy affiliated with the band. This is just some random loser who decided to like be in charge of Seether's subreddit, a band that, you know, predominantly peaked in the early 2000s. Had a lot of great hits back in the early 2000s. And they've just been touring recently. You know, they were awesome at the Mountain America Center. But I could not believe the audacity of this like whiny fan club. Just they're so mad. They're so mad at a radio DJ for not asking their questions. That makes me a garbage interviewer. That's my long story to start off this show. Victor this morning was talking about how it is a slower news day today. So I guess we'll talk about whatever we can find here on Peach's Pit Party on K-Bear 101. Yeah, I saw this headline pop up yesterday. A customer at a GameStop store in Grapevine, Texas, traded in a Pokemon card for $30,494.70, setting a record for the most valuable GameStop trade-in ever. It was a fully authenticated PSA 10 Holo Gengar. It was found to have a fair market value of around $33,000. So, of course, GameStop, doing what they do best, gave him less money for it. That's still quite a lot of money. I mean, did they have that in the register? Like, did they just give him a check? Like, how did they give this money to him? You know, GameStop officials took the opportunity to push back against any trolls who publicly claim that GameStop trade-in values are bad, is what it says here, adding any prior and ongoing objections to our trade values are now deemed without merit and factually invalid. $30,494. That gets you a pretty nice car. And you have that in a Pokemon card. It's pretty wild, you know? Again, did they just have this in a check waiting for him? Or, like, how did they get him the money? Did they just give him a whole thing that says, hey, like, please go to our corporate office? Or maybe the bank will get you your $30,000 for a Pokemon card? Let's do some Autumn King's Sleep When I'm Dead. It's Peach's Pit Party. Right now on the K-Bear 101 app, if you open up the menu, you can click on Designated Driver, and you can fill out the form. Now, if you're going to be the designated driver this holiday season, like all of your friends are drinking, and you're like, I want to make sure they get home safely, make sure to fill out the form. We want to give at least one designated driver a $25 gift card to Mackenzie River Pizza of Idaho Falls. So if you are that person this holiday season, trying your best to take care of the homies, trying your best to get everyone home safely in time for the holidays, because there's nothing worse than getting in an accident around Christmas, especially if it's extremely bad. Like if there's a fatal accident around the Christmas time, it absolutely sucks. And it sucks any time of the year, but especially around this time of the year when Christmas, everyone's supposed to be getting together and enjoying time with family. You're supposed to get to where you need to go in one piece. Make sure to drive safe this holiday season. We're teaming up with the Idaho Office of Highway Safety because we care about you getting to where you need to go. Designated drivers, sign up right now within the K-Bear, Alt, or Cannonball 101 apps for your chance to win a $25 gift card to Mackenzie River Pizza of Idaho Falls. I haven't seen any of these stories pop up. This is the first time I've heard about it. Stories are supposedly swirling out there about something called the Boomer Stuff Avalanche. It seems older people are just trying to downsize by giving away stuff to their kids. Some of this stuff is nice, usable, maybe sentimental, but other stuff is making people with older parents feel overwhelmed. It's too much stuff. And at the end of the day, it's unwanted. I remember when my grandparents, my grandma specifically on my dad's side, would try to gift us things. But it was more so her way of cleaning out, and she smoked a lot. Smoked like a pack a day back in her quote-unquote prime. So it sucked when she would give us things because it would just reek of cigarettes. And then we would just throw that crap away. Like, she would give us these dumb dolls and stuff. She had a whole doll room. My grandma, big time hoarder, had birdhouses, had dolls, all this stuff. I can't imagine what my Uncle Bob had to go through. My Uncle Bob was my caretaker for my grandparents on my dad's side for many years before, both my grandpa and then eventually my grandma passed away. But I can only imagine going through that giant house and trying to sell everything, toss everything, who knows what. But my Uncle Bob eventually downsized into a much smaller house. They filled up a giant mansion in Huntington Harbor with all this crap. I mean, that would take a lot of stuff to buy. And I would hear stories about how my grandma would go to Amazon or even just go to Home Goods and buy thousands of dollars worth of things. If I had that type of money, I would do the same thing. But then I would also worry about my kids and grandkids being bombarded with all this crap. Right now, I'm trying to minimalize everything. I talked about it last night. I'm trying to go through my entire apartment and just toss away all this excess stuff my parents gave me before I moved out of my family's house. Anyway, let's do some sleep token. Here's Emergence. With a record of 9-3, the Chicago Bears have been one of the biggest surprise stories of the NFL season, winning 9 of their last 10 games after an 0-2 start. When the rest of the sports world didn't believe in the Bears, at least one bettor did, and wagered $50,000 on the Bears at 66-1 odds to win Super Bowl 60. If this happens, the bet would win $3.3 million, which is not too shabby, right? Get ready for another Brady to start making headlines in a pro sport. Tom Brady's niece, Maya Brady, was chosen number 1 in the Athletes Unlimited Softball League expansion draft. Maya, who played shortstop at UCLA, joins the Oklahoma City Spark, which is one of the 2 teams joining the league for the 2026 season. Tom has called Maya the most dominant athlete in the Brady family by far. We'll see if her athletic dominance translates to success in the world of pro softball. And when you have Tom Brady saying that about you, you best believe that is the best letter of recommendation you could ever get. 2 of the most iconic basketball broadcasters are finally teaming up in front of the camera. Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley will call 2 games together this season, a deal made possible with TNT working with ESPN, where Vitale has worked for decades. Vitale and Barkley will analyze a game on ESPN December 13th between Indiana and Kentucky. Then they'll work on a first 4 matchup to begin the NCAA tournament in March on True TV. This will be the first time the 86-year-old Vitale has called an NCAA tournament game on TV. This does it for your Shot Clock Sports Update right here on K-Bear 101. Everyone's going to disagree with a list like this. Consequence, they did their 2025 annual report, the best metal and hard rock albums of the year. I'm quite shocked at some of their choices. Like, they put Hailstorm's Everest. Is that the title of the album? Yeah, Everest. They put Hailstorm's Everest at number 8. I listened to some of the tracks off of that album. Even Katie Lee from Z103, who is a diehard Hailstorm fan, said it's easily one of their worst albums. And that's at number 8 on their Consequences annual report of the best albums of the year. Ghost, Skeleton, number 7, wasn't necessarily attention-grabbing to me. Kind of the same old cookie-cutter Ghost for that one. You have some artists in here that I'm not necessarily familiar with, like Horror, Tomorrow We Escape. At number 6, La Dispute, No One Was Driving the Car at 5. One of the most underrated albums of the year, Spirit Box Tsunami Sea. That's at number 4. I might need to play one of the tracks off of that album tomorrow for my pick of the day at 2 p.m. Deftones, Private Music, not necessarily the biggest Deftones fan. I would say the second whiniest group behind the Seether crowd was that fan club when I did a reaction video to the first Deftones single that was released this year. I did a reaction video to it on our YouTube at KBear 101 RMG. And I did it like literally right as the track came out. So many people in the comments were like, why would you react to something you just don't care for? I'm like, I can react to whatever I want to. It's my radio show. It's my YouTube channel. Of course I can react to this. I can react to Zillow listings if I really wanted to. Turnstile, Never Enough on Consequences list at number 2, the list of the best albums of 2025. Turnstile, never enough. I personally thought it was a pretty good album, but Turnstile is now wildly different compared to how they used to be. So a lot of their classic hardcore fans aren't necessarily liking their new sound. And number one on this list is Deaf Heaven, Lonely People with Power. We played Deaf Heaven on Jenk's show. It's a tough listen. If you're not into black metal style vocals, this album is not going to be for you, okay? Lonely People with Power from Deaf Heaven. It says Deaf Heaven returns to black metal, but with a more guided hand, combining the whirlwind textures of their seminal Sunbather with the best elements of their softer 2021 release, Infinite Granite. The alchemical combo results in something arguably more potent than why did they have to talk so fancy with this article? Just be like, yeah, it was good. That's why it's a number one. Deaf Heaven, Lonely People with Power. Oh, man. You know, any single time that you release like your own list of the best albums of the year, somebody's going to disagree. Like my favorite album of the year is Architects, The Sky, The Earth, and All Between. I thought that was the best album of 2025. Let's do some Lamb of God right now. Sepsis on K-Barrett 101. This game pops up every year. You think you can dodge Wham this holiday season? They call it Whamageddon, the ultimate holiday survival game. The challenge is to make it till Christmas Eve without hearing Wham's Last Christmas. You know, the song is everywhere, from on the radio on Classy 97 to shops to the dentist's office. You know, the rules are simple. If you hear the original 1984 version of the song, you're out and have to post your fail to hashtag Whamageddon is what it says here. Covers and remixes, totally safe. The song is hard to escape, so be careful. I would say the worst Christmas song out there that you're going to hear repeatedly is obviously the Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas Is You cover, right? That's what I would think. I enjoy Wham. I wouldn't want to hear Mariah Carey. She's the one that gets memed about all the time. She's defrosting, you know, every single time around October. She's defrosting. She'll be here soon. I can't imagine being a Christmas station radio DJ and having to talk in between Christmas music. I just couldn't do it. I don't think, unless they paid me a lot. Then all of a sudden I'm very jolly for the season. We talked about this on the noon hour of Madness and Mayhem, but I wanted to bring it back up because we mostly, for that segment at least, only talked about how Quentin Tarantino just said this one specific actor was just sucky. And I could only imagine being that actor and you have one of the best directors of all time just openly insulting you. So Quentin Tarantino released his favorite films of the 21st century. It started off with Black Hawk Down, and then number 2 was Toy Story 3 from 2010. That's the movie that he chose at number 2. That last 5 minutes ripped my heart out, and if I even try to describe the end, I'll start crying and get choked up. It's just remarkable. It's almost a perfect movie. That's what Quentin Tarantino said. And you know what? I do agree with Quentin. It was the greatest end of a trilogy, and I don't know why they decided to go with Toy Story 4 and now Toy Story 5. Like, you could have just ended it there and left it at such. 3 was like Lost in Translation. Dunkirk was number 4. And then he goes on to say There Will Be Blood at 5. But then he says this movie would have been better if it wasn't for Paul Dano, who's in the movie. Paul Dano is weak sauce, man, is what Quentin Tarantino said. He is the weak sister. Austin Butler would have been wonderful in that role. He's just such a weak, uninteresting guy, the weakest actor in SAG, and then he laughed. What if Paul Dano just loses his mind and punches Quentin Tarantino and just yells, "How weak is this?" and just, decks him right in the mouth, goes on a full-on rampage about Quentin Tarantino. Oh, that'd be great. More Hollywood rivalries, huh? You know what's really funny? I'm glad somebody pointed this out on Reddit. The stars in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Hollywood Walk of Fame, I'm sure on TV and movies, it's made to look like this awesome thing to visit. You get to see all these different celebrity names. You take a picture next to your favorite star or whatever. But then you realize the actual, well, if you go to Hollywood Boulevard, it sucks. It's awful. It's downright ghetto and You have tweaked out Elmo trying to take pictures with people. You take a picture with tweaked out Elmo. That person inside Elmo is going to try to charge you like $35 for a picture. That's how they make their money. And there's so many people walking up and down Hollywood Boulevard, it's almost impossible to try to take a picture with next to your favorite star. But what's even funnier is that for you to get your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you have to pay a ton of money. I think you have to pay something like $85,000 to not only just apply for it, but then you also have to send in the application that has to get accepted too. Somebody put it wonderfully here by saying it's just putting an ad in a yearbook. Once you know that you have to pay, and then put the application in, then get accepted, then you have your whole ceremony. Isn't that sad? There are plenty of people also on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, not people like the stars. I'm talking about like people who just sit there all day and they have golden letters that you can put your name on a star. And then you can take a picture of that, but I'm sure they'll charge you like $60 to do so. Hollywood is such a ripoff. I feel so bad for people who try going to LA thinking it's going to be this extravagant vacation. They're going to see some major celebrities. They're going to see some awesome landmarks. And then they show up and see tweaked out Elmo wanting $30 from you. So I found this subreddit that I'm hopefully not going to get permanently banned from. Let's hope. r/today I learned. Usually I don't like it when somebody says, today I learned this. But there was this guy posting about how in 2009, Burger King launched the Whopper Sacrifice campaign on Facebook, offering a free Whopper to anyone who unfriended 10 people. The app notified the unfriended people, leading to over 233,000 sacrifices before Facebook shut it down for violating their terms. I wish Facebook would potentially let people know, hey, this person just unfriended you. I used to be that guy that would keep track of followers on Instagram. I would download that specific app, and then it would analyze my profile, and it would tell me who exactly just unfollowed me right then and there. And I would message that person, be like, hey, why'd you unfollow? We haven't talked in forever. It's usually some lousy excuse. Some dumb thing, Facebook, I have gotten so many event invites from specific people, and I finally learned yesterday how to block those people from ever inviting me to something ever again. Like, I'm a hypocrite for saying that because I get annoyed, but then I also invite people to follow my profile because I want to make sure I get all the listeners to follow me at Brenden Peach. But there was this one particular listener, I'm not going to name his name, but like every day there was something random he would invite me. And I don't accept invites from people. I think I have like 600 just sitting there. But this one particular guy was just inviting me to almost everything. And I'm like, dude, enough's enough. So I literally took time out of my afternoon show yesterday and Google searched how to block someone from ever sending you an event invite ever again. And it worked. It worked. I have not seen a single one since. Granted, it was only yesterday, but still, I blocked this guy from ever sending me an invite. He's still my friend on my friends list. Just never spam me crap ever. Well, Victor talked a lot this morning about that drunk raccoon. It was posted everywhere. It was like the one big news story of the day. So I'm not going to touch that. I have two options here. I have a teddy bear touched space and is now missing, or I have one of Santa's reindeer trotted off from a Christmas event in England. Let's do the reindeer one. Santa was briefly short one reindeer over the weekend, prompting a full-scale search and rescue operation. The animal made a daring escape while making an appearance at a Christmas event in England. Once the disappearance was realized, a massive search crew was assembled, which included police, Coast Guard, even the Royal Marines. Finally, teams using thermal binoculars spotted the runaway reindeer on a beach and gave chase. Eventually, the animal ran into the sand dunes, was watched by police until a vet was brought in to safely capture it. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The reindeer should be ready to go Christmas Eve. Yeah. Not necessarily the wildest headline. Should we talk about the other one too? Is this other one just about a bear that got launched into space? Yeah, it's a lost astronaut. You launched the bear into space, and then you went, crap, now he's no longer here. Where is he at? We lost him. Well, you launched him into space to begin with. Why would you do such a thing? Anyway, those are today's What the Headlines, a double dose on your fine hump day, on this fine hump day, right here on K-Bear 101. Thanks for listening to Peach's Pit Party, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. Peach's Pit Party is hosted by me, Peaches, a.k.a. Brenden Peach, and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com. Until next time, Peach out.